Now, pressure group Justice for Ghana is picketing the presence of Parliament to force parliamentarians to reject some tax measures and allocations in the 2023 budget. Key among their concerns is the proposed 2.5% hike in the VAT rate, review of the e-levy, and an allocation of 80 million cedis to fund the construction of the controversial National Cathedral. Let's go live to Parliament, where Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante is with the protesters and joins us live now with more. Kweku, take it from here.
They say that they are against some of the revenue measures that President Akufo-Addo, through the finance minister, has introduced in the 2023 budget. Just behind me, you see some of the protesters coming from the National Cathedral site where they have been. They are also against that 80 million Ghana cedis allocation that has been made for the construction of that controversial facility. And so they went there first with some Ghana chiefs, they tell me, and they are now heading here. Mr. Bernard Mona is here. If I can just have a word with one of the leaders of Justice for Ghana, Mr. Bernard Mona. I can see some heavy police presence here. Mr. Mona, what is this all about? You have parliamentarians in there who have promised to do your job for you. Why do you need to pick it?
Thank you very much. As you can see, and I'm sure that you yourself went through some difficulties this morning because of the kind of economic policy measures that President Akufo-Addo, through the Minister for Finance, has implemented. These things have led to a suffocation of the life of the people of Ghana. Majority of us cannot just make ends meet. And so it is important to come to Parliament House and to indicate to Parliament that what they are supporting the government to do is unthinkable and unacceptable. See, first let's start from the National Cathedral. Some ones of us don't believe in the church. Some ones of us don't believe in the mosque. Some of us go and then we make libations. To the extent that our state, the president will lie that this thing is just to provide an avenue for the church to make contribution, and all of a sudden we see that the state is doling out chunk of our resources to the church or for the construction of the church. Simply means that God himself will not accept this property. But
already at the committee level, the National Cathedral has been defeated by 11 to 10. It is set to come to the floor. If the minority carry through where they are trying to reject it, it will be rejected.
We cannot just say that. Our prime land has been wasted. This land has been given to the state by the people of Ghana. If you have no use of that land, all you have to do is to give it back to the people of the Ghana people so that they will determine what they want to use their land for. You have just taken it away. As I speak to you, individuals whose assets were on that property are today in court challenging the Lands Commission to bring back. You know the case of the water gate, and then the petition. We speak to you now. The government of Ghana told us that we either accept electronic transfer levies or we go to the IMF. Today, we have accepted electronic transfer levies and we are at the IMF. We cannot accept both. And so it means that electronic transfer levies, it should be a no-no and it must be rejected by the Parliament.
The same as VAT.
The value-added tax that President Akufo-Addo led us into demonstrations that about 5 people died, including Ahuni Hwanga. Today, the blood of the people are following Akufo-Addo for wanting to increase value-added tax in this country. And so if you look at every economic measure that Akufo-Addo is bringing, it appears that they want to eventually emasculate the peoples of Ghana, push us to the brink and for us to die. Finally, on pension funds. You see, the naivety of the Minister for Finance has actually compelled the kind of situation we have. You tell us that individuals who hold bonds will not be affected, but individuals contributed to the pension funds. And so when the pension fund is affected, it means that these individuals are affected. So when you have a Minister for Finance who is not on top of the issues, we will have this kind of economic mess that we have. And so we are joining forces with Labour to say that don't touch the pension funds of our parents, don't touch the pension funds of our aged who are now coming out, because it's going to affect their lifestyle. And that is why we are here.
Have you spoken to MPs and have they given you their word that they are going to reject this, that they are going to fight this?
We don't know whether we should speak to the MPs because at some point in time we feel actually let down by our MPs. These same MPs were the ones who were on the floor of Parliament moved a motion of censure doubting the capacity of the Minister for Finance. The motion was referred to a committee. The committee had not come out with the report. And the same person whose capacity you were doubting had to come and stand before you and present a budget statement, and you sat in.
Well, that is the majority side. The minority side were able to push through.
No, the minority sat through the budget reading.
Well, they said there were salaries that had to be paid.
Why?
That has to be in the budget.
Is it the minority that are paying the budget? When Kenofodata did not reach the budget in 2021, where salaries not paid, somebody else read it.
But that is the decision of the president, not the minority or MPs.
Once you were questioning the capacity of the Minister for Finance, for which reason you tabled a motion of censure, it means that that person was not qualified to come and stand before you to present. You sat through. You went ahead and approved the budget. And so, for where we stand, we cannot say that our MPs will do what we want. And that is why we want them to see that some of the actions they are taking in Parliament, they are not what the people are excited about, and that they have to do everything possible to ensure that they work to protect the sanctity and the good being of the people of Ghana.
Right, so I've been speaking with Bernard Mona. Bernard Mona is one of the organizers of Justice for Ghana. They are picketing here in Parliament. They are demanding that government pulls the brake on the 2.5% VAT increase, that government rescinds the decision to remove the daily threshold of the e-levy. Although government says it is bringing down the rate to some 1%, they are also saying that the 80 million Ghana cedis allocation for the construction of the National Cathedral must be blocked. Already you know that in committee, the NDC MPs have been able to defeat that particular allocation. It is expected to come to the floor, and when it does, what is going to happen is that they are going to vote on it as a house, and they are going to reject it. That is what the minority have said. But you've heard there from Bernard Mona. He says they don't trust the minority, they don't trust the majority side, they don't trust Parliament as a whole. Let me also get to one of the organizers, Mr. Dramani, before we wrap up the conversation. Mr. Draman, what conversations have you had with MPs? Have you spoken with members of Parliament, and what are they telling you?
We have sufficiently done our consultations with the members of Parliament, particularly those on the minority side, because they seem to be, their views are consistent with our views. They are sensitive to the plight of Ghanaians more than those on the other side, I mean the majority. So we have consulted them as to what will be happening in the House today. Yesterday, for instance, we were there and we held a press conference at your parliamentary press corps. The issues are varied, but the trust of all, it's the cathedral, the VAT, the pension funds that government intends to touch for debt restructuring. We think that is unacceptable and is despicable, highly reprehensible, because the gentleman whose recklessness has led to the bankruptcy of Ghana is still at post, and is the same person who is being asked now to lift us up from the mess he has plunged us into. That cannot work. It's not logical. It has never worked. It has never worked. You understand? That is why we are here picketing today, to register and manifest our displeasure and dissatisfaction about the way government has been handling, issues of this country, particularly the economy, and the degradation of the land here that is being used for the construction of cathedral. When you and I know that the very person or the deity that the president claims that he's building this thing to honor is a deity of truth and cannot dwell or inhabit a place that is full of lies and deception. That deity cannot inhabit.
So, are you expecting more numbers? The numbers seem to be a bit low. Are you expecting more people?
The numbers will come. And if you have been following our publications, our letters to the public, we made it clear that because the police were kind of apprehensive about the numbers, because they said they had some constraints. So we decided to scale down the number significantly, just to make it symbolic. Symbolic, that is it. So if the numbers are not up to what we put out, it is just because of that we have listened to the police and have decided to scale down the numbers significantly.
Right. So Salom is part of the organizers of. He's
for Justice for Ghana.
Right. He's the communicator for the Justice for Ghana. They say that they are insisting, they are going to ensure that these tax measures that have been introduced in the 2023 budget are all rejected. A number of them here, led by some traditional leaders as well, are picketing right in front of Parliament. They say they are going to stay here as a symbolic gesture for MPs to reject this. Let me see if I can speak to some of these elders. So, why are you here? Why are you here? You can speak any other language that you feel comfortable.
Okay, I'm Ni Mansalo the first Senche of Jamestown, British Accra. You see, as I'm talking to you now, what we are seeing now is we have stool lands and we have family lands. Now the government has taken the stool land to construct the National Cathedral. But as I'm talking to you now, it's standing still like a white elephant, and we don't like it. Because what is going on, we the youth, we have covered 72% of the population. So as the government is not working well for the youth, then the next generation will collapse. So we are pleading to the government to do the very best. Because as I'm talking to you now, it's now December. It's been like October, if you bear me witness. So me and my people, we are here so that a good word will come from the government.
Okay, so that is the voice of the traditional leaders. They say that they are concerned about the use of the land, and that in particular, that land belongs to, is a stool land. They expect that government would have put some good use to it, and not the National Cathedral. And even if you are using it to build a cathedral, that you would have done so expeditiously so that this building there will be able to come up and the land will be beautiful. And so this is from Parliament. A number of them are still coming in. They have a vehicle that is blasting music right in front of Parliament, and a number of the Justice for Ghana demonstrators and protesters are already here. What we expect is that later on, the leadership of Parliament will come down to receive their petition, to receive the kind of issues they want to put forth. But ordinarily, what we expect is that today will be the last day of Parliament sitting, because they are expected to go on Christmas break from today. So Parliament will sit extended sittings today to be able to undertake all the transactions that they have to do before they can go on break. And so, Brace, this is the situation here in Parliament. Justice for Ghana picketing here to demand the rejection of some tax measures and some allocations in the budget.